it is a pleasure for me to introduce Doris Krüger. She is part of the artist duo Krüger and Vordere, and she teaches at the University of Applied Arts at the Transmedia Art. And in this year we had the pleasure to work on a project together, which is funded by the Intra project here at the Angewandte, and we were trying to, not to reenact, but to rediscover Kiesler's laboratory situation for her student work at the university today. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce Doris, who will present this project.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for staying that long in the evening, in the afternoon. And yes, also thank you to Gert, my nice project partner. We really enjoyed so far working together. And actually it was Gert who approached me a year ago for a collaboration. Like he mentioned, the collaboration is a kind of a research project funded by the University of Applied Arts, which is kind of nice because now we have budget to invite guests, to do an exhibition, to do a publication. So it is a very luxury situation, and so far we really enjoyed it. So yes, when Gert approached me to collaborate a year ago and to do something together about Kiesler, we literally thought that, well, with Kiesler we have endless options of how to collaborate. And because he is a paradigmatic position of openness and transgression, especially when it comes to talking about different disciplines. And especially here at the University of Applied Arts, we kind of found a perfectly matching partner because all of the disciplines are also taught here at the university. Like you could study here art, architecture, design, stage decoration, moving images, etc. So with all these endless options how to start a collaboration, we decided to shed a light upon one specific chapter of Kiesler's practice, and it is the chapter of Kiesler as an educator, Kiesler as a teacher himself. As it was mentioned before, at the Columbia University, or was before, Kiesler was also teaching art and architecture, of course, or design, or however you want to call it. Soon after his arrival in New York in 1926, he also started, first of all, to teach stage decoration at Juilliard School of Music. And he did that 1933 until 1956. The culmination, however, of his educational activities was certainly the Laboratory of Design Correlation for the Columbia School of Architecture, which he founded 1937 and had it until 1941. So far, Gert Hasenhütl and others have already mentioned Kiesler's laboratory practice. And his laboratory was a programmatic experiment to integrate a scientific approach, like we have mentioned before, the motion studies of the Gilbreths, into the design process and into the artistic education. In a transdisciplinary setting with students from all different departments and disciplines, Kiesler's holistic design theory of Correalism was to be tested and explored. Like, you might remember the nice charts, like starting with existing facts, coming to new objectives, and then turning to new objects in an open-ended design process. So this open-ended design process was something that we really were very much interested in. And also for Kiesler, case studies served as tests for both for his theory and for his methods of education. The curriculum of the Laboratory for Design Correlation or Design Correlation combines, so say, lectures, so theoretical input, research, and workshop practice, and it was combined with unorthodox input on anthropology, biology, biochemistry, and the latest psychological insights. So other than producing only functioning objects, Kiesler conceived a space of shared learning to generate visionary ideas in response to the rapid changes of political, socio-economic, and technical realities of his time. Now, if you would talk about Kiesler nowadays, you might call his practice a practice of artistic research, a term that was not relevant at his time, but nowadays you would probably call him or his practice a practice of artistic research. Being an artist myself and teaching art at the same time, my experience is that artistic research and the methodology of artistic teaching are just two sides of the same coin. They are inextricably linked. When you're an artist and you're teaching art, it is mainly something comes out that you would call artistic research. So let me now tell you a bit about the setup of our project. The title of the project is Applied Correlation Laboratory. Like Gert had mentioned before, it was quite clear for us from the very beginning that we did not want to perform a reenactment of Kiesler's laboratory. We knew, and you have seen some of them, there were these charts that Kiesler used for teaching at Columbus University or School of Architecture, but we did not want to reuse and reenact Kiesler's practice, but we were rather interested in his methodology and in his idea of creating a space of shared learning. So we wanted to activate, and this was the second important part for us, we wanted to activate his visionary ideas for the youngest generation of artists, of students. Because in Vienna we have this extraordinary treasure in the Kiesler Foundation. I think it's still not well known enough. It could have a much better presence. It is such a treasure there, and we wanted really to make these treasures accessible. And like Kiesler, with the students, generate new objects and new objectives in order to generate responses to our times today and to our needs today. So thanks to Gert, who opened up the doors and warmly welcomed us as a group and the students. You see the image of the very first visit at the foundation. Also, some of the students are here today. We had a wonderful starting point. We really could look into all the originals in detail. Gert opened up all the white boxes and really showed us all the originals. So in a way, the students were not only introduced in the work and oeuvre of Kiesler, but by the way, they were also introduced in the field of scientific historic research. So the first semester, in a way, was the kind of semester with a lot of introduction, with a lot of theoretical input. And we closely also looked at Kiesler's experimental teaching methods. We especially focused on the vision machine that he developed in the Laboratory of Design Correlation. And as you have seen before, and have seen the images before and have heard in detail, the vision machine was a rather conceptual work. It was an audiovisual apparatus, a crossover between a model of perception and a kind of theater of perception, you could call it that way too. So after all the theoretical input, in the next semester, I shifted the focus rather towards the specific individual interests of the students. Kiesler always was the starting point, it was our common ground as a group, but then we wanted to follow the individual approaches of the students to develop their individual perception of Kiesler's work and their individual work. So for example, I'm happy now to see some of them here. For example, Gerald was very much interested in the film, guild cinema, so we had the opportunity to invite guests. We invited Martin Reinhardt, who is also teaching at the university here. We had a specialist of avant-garde film, and we really could follow this specific interest for some lectures. Another student, for example, Nico, was very much interested in the combination of a gesture and its political expression and implication. So we had the chance to invite an anthropologist to give us insight on his latest findings about that. or like Marlene, is a student very much into drawing. So we did, I want to show you here, a wonderful session together with Nicolas Gansterer. We prepared together a space, and then in kind of darkness, the students with closed eyes experimented with object, with the surface, perceptual, touching the objects, listening to the sounds they would produce, having experiments on their bodily experience in the space. So it was a kind of mixture between a psychological and a social experience, and therefore step by step through the months of our collaboration, the Applied Correlation Laboratory somehow became an experimental platform in itself. And so finally, after the second semester, we turned into really going into the production. So we had also not the theoretical input, not only the experimental part. So now we are heading for the real production of individual works. And very soon, in a few weeks, on the 24th of November, I'm happy to invite you all to the exhibition that will take place at the Kiesler Foundation. And as I said, the nice combination was that students came from different fields, different media. We also were very lucky to have 2 students from the masterclass of architecture, and one of them specifically designed and developed a specific display. So we also were very much into the discussion of how such an exhibition could be displayed. You can see the first trials made of raw wood, also in relation to materials that Kiesler worked with. But let's see and be surprised when you come yourself. Yes, and finally, as I said, the Intra Project Fund also gives us the opportunity to really reflect on our work, on our methodology. So by the end of January, we probably will publish a book and present it. And so after this experience of 1.5 years, I can say that the Applied Correlation Laboratory was really a highly productive format. It was a wonderful cooperation. It made possible what we wished for, to really make accessible the knowledge of the foundation to the students. And yes, I just can recommend this collaboration between the university and the Kiesler Foundation. It is really a wonderful situation, and thank you for all those who participated.